Hi everyone, it's the Academy of God's Sons, and today I wanted to share with you something that the Lord put in my heart and an understanding to certain revelations He had given me. Now, now, in this first video, I want to make an introduction of the mysteries of heaven, and just for us to understand where I'm coming from, I'm going to use the book of Enoch. Now, for those who don't know, Enoch was a man who walked with God for 300 years until he was not, because God took him. So he was raptured. It's written in the book of Genesis. And there is a book bearing his name, which used to be in the Bible. Now, certain people might disagree that it's actually inspired by God or not, but from what the Lord showed me, there are certain aspects of that book which are truth. And it's this particular aspect that I want to share with you now. So we'll start with the book of Genesis, where it talks about the fallen ones. When the angels saw the daughters of men, they were beautiful, and they came down on earth and had children with them, giants. The same occurrences, we can find it in the book of Enoch, speaking about angels who came down on earth, and they saw the daughters of men and came to them and had giants. But it goes on further. It adds to that the fact that these fallen ones actually taught something to mankind. So I'm going to read from the book of Enoch, the first book, which can be found in the Ethiopian Bible and used to be also in many of our modern Bible, in the King James Version in the first edition. The book of Enoch was there until it got removed. So it says in the chapter 6, the verse 1, it says, "And it came to pass, when the sons of men had increased, that in those days there were born to them fair and beautiful daughters. And the angels, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the children of men, and let us beget for ourselves children," which is the same thing talking about the Nephilim in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. But then it goes on the chapter 7, on the 7th chapter, saying, "And they, the fallen ones, and they took wives for themselves, and every one chose for himself one each. And they began to go into them, into the women, and were promiscuous with them. And they taught to these women charms and spells, and they showed them the cutting of roots and trees." But then it goes in the chapter 8 saying, "And Azazel, one of the angels, taught men to make swords and daggers and shields and breastplates. And he showed them the metals of the earth and the arts of working them, and gold and silver bracelets and ornaments, and the art of making up the eyes with antimony and eye paint, and of beautifying the face," this is makeup, "and the most precious and choice stones, and all kinds of colored dyes. And the world was forever changed." So these angels taught mankind these particular things. Then it goes on, "And furthermore, their leader, Shemiazah, taught spells against the mind," so witchcraft, "and the use of cut roots of plants, and Armaros and Armaros, this is another angel, he taught magical skills and the release of spells. And Barakel taught astrologers, and Kokabel portents of the stars." So the so the path of the stars. This is more related to astronomy. And Tamiel, he taught portents of the weather, so the weather patterns. And Shahariel taught the path of the moon. And they all, and this is important, it says, and they all began to reveal these mysteries to their wives and their children. So they were not just teaching some basic things, they were teaching deep mysteries, which in this case were spiritual in nature. Why? Because they were angels. They are spirit, so it's normal that they will, if they were to teach something, they will be teaching things that are spiritual in nature. And after these things happen, mankind basically started to cry out to God. This is when in the book of Genesis it said, and mankind began to raise their voice to God, and the Lord saw how men were being basically destroyed, and then he decided to send the flood. But here in the book of Enoch 1, it goes more in detail. So what happened is that according to the book of Enoch, mankind was crying out to God, and the angels brought their prayers before the Lord. And we can read in the chapter 9, it says, and they said to their Lord, the King, these are the angels talking to God, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, your glorious throne endures for all the generations of the world, and your name is holy and praised for all generations of the world, and is blessed and praised. You have made everything, and power over everything is yours, and everything is uncovered and open in front of you, and you see everything, and there is nothing that can be hidden from you. And as they are talking to God, this is what they say in the chapter 9, the verse 6. See then what Azazel has done, one of the fallen angels. So they say, how he has taught all iniquity on the earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were made in heaven. And Shemiazah has made known spells, he to whom you gave authority to rule over those who are with him. So, these things that were cited before, talking about spells, witchcraft, war, weapons, all these things that the angels, the fallen ones, they taught to mankind. The study of the stones, the precious stones, the crystals, all these things, astrology, all of these, they say these are the angels talking to God qualify these mysteries which were created in heaven. So mysteries that are from heaven. And they say eternal mysteries. So these are very ancient mysteries. Now, how can witchcraft be from heaven? How can spells come from heaven? How can war come from heaven? Well, they are not talking about witchcraft or spells or war, but rather the spiritual principles that are behind them. The which are the foundation for all these practices, comes from heaven, but they were twisted then by these fallen ones, and this is what turned them into what we call witchcraft, spells, and all these things. Why do I say that? Take for example blessings and cursing. When you bless someone, you say for example, I wish you health, be healthy. So you release words of life. Another person to curse might say that he wish the person will die, or the person is going, something bad will happen to them. This is a curse that he's releasing with his mouth. So they're using the same principle but applied differently. One is called blessing, another one is called curse. Now this is the same thing. And I say that because the Lord has taught me some of these heavenly mysteries. I'm going to start to share with you to empower us in our walk with God.